Okay, good afternoon all. Hope everyone is well. Happy Friday. Karina, good morning to you. Exponential, how you doing? Okay. So let's have a look what we're going in. Now, I have put that like that and considered there may be a larger channel there. I'm not too sure. A lot of the times we seem to do this push up and then kind of reverse. I'll be surprised if that thing just continues on up. So I've took away that top section and we'll just see if this does push up, then I will extend it. Because there could be, it's hard to say really. There's always a possibility we got something down. I'm just looking through. What's that? Just looking through some other charts to see what people have got. There's a couple have got that larger one. I'm not too sure at the moment. Thomas Wade hasn't got it. He's got that with a little range there. It's not really a range, I don't think. We just bounced off the top there and continuing up. So I'm not sure whether it is something like that or not, but we'll have to say. Sometimes it's a little bit early. Market is open and it's still quiet, actually. In fact, market's been open for 2 minutes. I didn't think the market had open because it's not really doing a lot. Second entry short. I am waiting at the moment because, you know, there is an argument for saying this thing, you know, but there is, if that's the case, there is an overshoot. So, yeah, I'd certainly rather go short than long, but at the moment, I'm just sitting tight at the moment, just in case. Sometimes it's a bit early to get in. See, if you went short there, I think you're probably going to be okay. I'd say it's likely to break below there, but when it started pushing back up there, that would concern me a bit, I think. So if you got in, say, short there, yeah, you wouldn't have got 2 points. It would have had to push through. So a tick below, so realistically a 1.5 points. That, to me, I would prefer that sat a lot further up. So it's just a little bit early. Yeah, you're okay, though. My gut feeling was that was going to get stopped out. But I generally, I wouldn't take that so far for them. I know that the body's touched, but there's just not much room to the lows. I prefer the top of that body tucked right under there, really, for a retest. There's just not much space, but it did come down. So we got some news. I haven't put my news up. I got to make sure I do that and not forget. Fortunately, I do just keep the other news up on my chart just in case I forget. Let's make sure everything's enabled here. We're up to date. Yes. Alarms. Blue 1, 5 minutes. Red 1, 2 minutes. Superb. Yeah, it did break below and then pushed up. So my guess it was going to stop that out. But you'd have got some points out of that anyway, so you'd have got plenty of points. You'd have got 3 points out of that comfortably. Yeah, you would have done. Jan, how you doing? I didn't have time to download that thing last night, mate. I went away from my tea and actually came back. My wife was doing something in the bedroom, and I traded a little bit more, actually. So I will do it a little bit later. I actually took another trade last night, a winning trade, so I ended up around about $30 up per account. I was down about 120, somewhere between 99 and 120. I was down. I realised that already. Yeah. So yeah, my wife was doing some. My daughter's just had a bit of a dump out of her room and dumped a load of stuff in our room. So my wife was sorting through stuff. And I just came up and traded for about an extra hour. I think I took a trade around about 7:15. I took a short. It was where was it? We had a leg down. It was there. It looked a little better on that, but I like the way. I think it was there. I took it. Yeah, we'd had a channel down. We gone up, gone a bit sideways. We dropped below. Bullish bar triggered. I took a short there, and it worked quick. Or was it there? Yeah, it was. That's where it was. We'd had that leg down. So we had a channel up break and another break, and then we had that strong move down. So my guess is we're going to have two legs down. So I took a trade. Yeah, so I lost one. ATR was quite high. It has calmed down a little bit today, but I just sat back calmly because I can trade till about 7:30 at the moment. I have changed it to 6:30 now because we've come forward, or you guys have come forward an hour. So maybe there is a larger channel up there after all. Yeah, maybe so. We've just come back to support there. In fact, I'll probably put that a touch lower. See, normally with a channel like that, I wouldn't get involved in a trade with such a small break and a push-up. But it's not a huge channel, and it's still relatively early. Down at a channel, up. Let's have a look. Flatter still fits. So he's got that, has he? Let me have a look. Oh, he's still got that in, hasn't he? Okay. We talk about this all the time. A channel like that, it's rare you get a small break like that and a push-up. How you doing, Ben? So, yeah, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So let's put that up to about there. So, yeah, fair enough. That doesn't look like a bad trade then. Higher low here, but we didn't get one on it, unfortunately. But on the 1,000 tick chart we did. Did you see Max live trade? Yes, I did, bud, yeah. He did say he was going to do more of them. I don't know why he doesn't stream just for an hour once in a blue moon, just to have a chat with people. That'd be really nice, that, if he could do that. I don't know whether he will. So, big bearish bar, pushed up. That bar there, I'd have taken that, I think, because of the amount of stops that I'd expect there. And when it hit those stops, it pushed up quite strong. Ordinarily, I wouldn't take that so far from the EMA, but the fact that it's likely to stop that out, and if it stops that out, I think it'll hit those, and it did. As soon as we hit some stops there, I'd say probably there, we had some momentum, 3 points straight up. So 3 points for me. Sorry about that. Would have comfortably worked on that first bar. It went up to the top there before it retraced a little bit and then crossed over. So this 1,000 tick chart, it reduces the risk a little bit, and it does open some more. Now, I have used the 1,000 tick chart before in the past. I've used the 1,200 before in the past. Used the 3,000 before in the past. So I've used quite a few. I must say that I noticed he was not thinking much different than us. It's funny I should say that. I thought exactly the same thing. Now, how many times have I said he must take trades very different, which is why he doesn't show us? But he really doesn't seem to. Whenever he takes a setup, it's almost always exactly the same way we think. It's weird, isn't it? We seem to think he must do something magically different, which is why he doesn't show us his trades. But then he does show us his trades once in a blue moon. So I really, for the life of me, don't understand why he doesn't say at the end of the day, that's the trade I took and that's the trade I took. I can't for the life of me think why he doesn't do that when every single setup I've seen him take or live trade he's shown us follow the rules perfectly. It's strange, isn't it? Do me a favour, one of you guys, if one of you guys are still a member at the moment, send him an email and just say, you know, we have a talk in the Facebook group, and a lot of people say, a lot of new guys say they find it a little bit daunting that Mac's finding 20 probably setups and they're struggling. So, you know, you do show us your trades from time to time. It would be really lovely if you said the good trades that I believe that I took were that and that. I think it'd help people. I really do. I certainly think it'd help the newer traders. You know, us ones who've been doing it for a while now. We kind of know how it works, don't we? But, you know, I remember feeling really inferior when I was looking at Max, thinking, why aren't I seeing these? And would be helpful for sure. It would, yeah. If any of you guys are members, just drop them an email and say what I said. Don't tell me it was me. He won't be aware of me anyway. But it would really be nice. Let me just check. I can open my trades. We're not bumping into the news, are we yet? No.
Order submitted.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Perfect.
Order cancelled.
Everything's as it should be. 3 ticks, 3 points. Perfect. Yeah, I can't see a downside to it. And I know he said before it wouldn't help you. Well, it doesn't help us showing us 20 trades. It would definitely help us if you say, okay, these are the ones I took. That was the one I took. And that was the one I took. That would help us. If he only takes 2 a day, because showing 20 trades a day does make you feel inferior. Maybe not when you've been doing it in a while, but certainly for the new guys. But he's normal. Yeah, absolutely. You do think he must do something completely different from us, otherwise he'd tell us. That's the only conclusion I could ever come to, but it seems whenever we see it, it's exactly what he does. I'm surprised he's not slowly grown from 15. I know he says it affects his psychology, but when you've been doing the same thing for 28 years, surely you're almost a master at it. You know, I would probably go up, I don't know, even 1 contract a month or something, take it baby steps. But I don't know, perhaps he doesn't need the money. If he makes $750, if he makes $1,500 a day plus runners, you'd like to think he probably averages $2,000 a day. Mind you, he traded in a tight range. I am surprised he didn't just take all his profits in one go, because so many times price will come back and take your stop out. And when it takes his stop out, he loses about 5 contracts in such a tight range like this. You'd think take your profit in one go, or take it at 2 points or something. But the trouble is, if it comes back and it's his stop, effectively he's losing what is it, a couple of $200 odd. But low plot execution. So yeah, exactly. I mean, if he only takes between 1 and 3 a day, it's not going to take a second putting an arrow there saying number 1 and an arrow there saying number 2 or whatever. If any of you guys remember, just drop him. Just say we have this discussion for a while now. So let me just make sure I've said hello. I said hello to Jan, said hello to Speedy, said hello to Ben. Jay, how you doing, mate? Daryl, good morning. So, just incidentally, one of the guys that comes in our room recently just started a YouTube channel, or restarted a YouTube channel. I will show you, because I don't mind supporting other people if they do that. It's not a talky channel, and he's only done a couple of videos, but Evan Sir, that's a mouthful. My apologies if I've murdered your name there. I think you're a new face. Where are you from, bud? Where are you from? So, that's the guy there. Crab Trader. I will bring this in. It is a silent one. But that's the guy there. He comes in as S. He shows himself as S, I think. So, that's his YouTube channel. So, if you want to go and have a look at some time and maybe chuck him a subscription, I'm sure he'd appreciate it. He is trading now, actually, so he might not pop in here, but he's only just started, I think. But I don't mind supporting other people. I think it's a quiet one, isn't it? Is there any music on it? I don't think there is. So that's the guy there anyway. Crab Trader. So there you go. So this does, wonder if Apex extends the sale I had a feeling that they wouldn't. I'm surprised they did last time because we went nearly a month without it. So if I open the main page, they haven't, which is surprising. In fact, they have made some changes in here. They've updated a few things. I noticed a few bits were looking a bit different yesterday. So no, they haven't at the moment. Hopefully it won't be too long before they change it, but I had a feeling that in fact, I'll tell you what I will do just in case, because on the odd occasion they do extend it and don't say nothing. So sorry about that. Let me just not ended yesterday. Let me just have a look. If I go in and go through the let's go for this sign up and see if it yeah, it has gone back up. 73. So that's 80% off, I think. Yeah, never mind. On the rare occasion they extended it and never said nothing. That's a shame. Thought it ended today. Thanks for that. No, it ended. I did say I had a thing on my chart then saying ends on the 13th. I did mention it as well a couple of times yesterday. It ended today, but yeah, hopefully it won't be too long before they restart it. I think it was about a month because they extended it, didn't they? But before that, we must have waited 3 weeks at least. So I don't know why they definitely sell more. But who knows? So that's the lowest that ATR's been, I think, for a fair while now. It's under 4, which is good news. The last couple of losses I've had have been about 5 points. So So at least we're actually getting some movement up, which is kind of nice. It's just been negative lately. The March profit looks slightly different than January's fair. To be honest with you, mate, the only reason it looks like that, I was planning on leaving it to the end. But what I will say to you is one more trade, I can withdraw another 500 from 2 accounts. That's another 1,000. 2 more trades, I can withdraw another 1,500. That's another 2,500. And another couple of days, I could take 1,500 out of 2 more accounts. So I expect March. Now, bearing in mind, obviously, we're not even halfway through the month yet. So I'm kind of putting it on as I'm getting it. So I expect this month to be, I would have said somewhere around 5,000 to 8,000, something like that. So that's the only reason, because January I took 3 lots of 2,000, which is why I had that bump. And but I am taking bits and pieces. I did show you the emails that I had yesterday. But if you look at my accounts here, these I'm letting grow a bit. So, I could take 1,500 out of these nearly if I wanted to. I could take 1,000 out of that. Another trade on those 2, another 500. Another 2 trades I can take out of that one, and that one. That one's close. So this it'll work out okay. It'll work out okay. I was speaking about tint of colour. Oh, the tint of colour. What I missed. So I just spouted on for nothing, did I? The tint of colour doesn't look the same colour. What do you mean? The green, does it not? I can't really see it. It's too small. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, it is a little different, isn't it? To build these accounts, for people with OCD, I'll change it later. Yeah, I suppose it is a slight different, isn't it? Sorry, mate. I thought you were talking about that it was lower than the rest. My oldest accounts are 50 days, but I have taken multiple payments out of them. So I'd say my average account is 20 days. So I seem to average around about $100 per day. That's where I seem to average, which was more than I thought. Now, you may say 20 days, that's $2,000. Yeah, if I traded all 20 days, but there are a few days that I don't trade. So, yeah, so I'd say my average is 20-something days. Actually, tell a lie. My average is about 28 days, 29 days, 28, 29. So, yeah, let's say $2,300, 29 days. So let's call that kind of a month and a half realistically, probably 2 months because I missed days as well. So probably average around $1,200 per month per account, which is good actually. $1,200 per month. Even if you get $1,000 per month, I've got 19 accounts at the moment, so potential 19,000 minimum. So that's plenty. Let me just have a look at this before it's going to fry someone's brains otherwise. Where's March? Here's March. In fact, let's have a look at January's first. That's not January's, is it? Okay, let's have a look at Jan's first. That one there. Let's find out what colour it exactly is. It's more of a lime green, isn't it? Okay. Where's March? There we are. So we're looking for a kind of lime green. It looks the same, doesn't it? Is it more that? It might be. Whoa, what have I done there? That's February's. Why is it under March? Oh, come on, what's going on here? It's worse. February's really bright now, isn't it? Come on, Lancy boy, what are you doing? That needs to be brighter. Can't tell. That's no difference, is it? Right, okay. Let's start from scratch. Let's get January sorted. That's not January, that's Jan. Jan pay, that's the one. Okay. Let's go with this really bright one, second from top from right. Okay. Brilliant. That's January sorted. Second top from right. That one was the right anyway, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. Let's sort March out now. That was the dodgy one, wasn't it? So, second top from right. There we go. OCD attack over. There you go. Now, no more complaints, all right? How's that? You might get an alarm twice today. I found a glitch in a code. That's all right, mate. More alarms are better than less alarms. Okay, so that's the 5-minute one. Excellent. One of your problems, I figured out what it was. Make your profits. Yeah. And one of your problems, I figured out what green to make your profits. You've made it out. They're all the same now, I think, aren't they? I think they're all the same. They look it. They look it. Okay, news coming up. So, it's about time we had some sort of movement up, isn't it? Now we've broken a couple of levels here. Let's see if we get a pullback. I'm just wondering whether there's a slightly different channel there. I have extended that top, which I do with caution. So 2 little legs there with a break new high. The trouble is, I'm not a fan when it does that, but if you look, it's not too bad around that midline, is it? Then extended the top so it creates a midline. Yeah, okay. What I will say is if you go on to Thomas's Discord, let me bring it in. Click on main room. This is just his pictures. So 52. Yeah, so 52, 33, 13. So he just has his charts going in here. I kind of like that. It would be nice if Dan could do that and just kind of regularly have a snapshot. I don't know whether there's anything you can do to take a quick snapshot of your chart, you know, once every 5 minutes or something like that. I've got a break, but news coming up. So yeah, so the news might throw everything to havoc. What is it? Consumer sentiment. I'm guessing that's probably going to rock and roll, isn't it? Because I'm guessing consumer sentiment is quite negative. See, Dan really stretches his out, doesn't it? Which sometimes gives a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, a little bit more aggressive looking. Okay, 2 minutes. I so love having that. It makes such a difference. Yeah, he stretches it out, which is aggressively, and sometimes it actually, if you see, there's 2 legs down there and there's a higher low there. Sometimes it makes some of these setups a bit more obvious. Unfortunately, there wasn't, and there was a failure there, but there was a second entry short which came down and then pushed up, so may not have been a bad place to trade there, pushing up, but we'll see. Trouble is, I run out of screen when I do that. Got it as a break. Yeah, it could be. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Mac had that as a break. I actually think you're probably right a little bit. Normally, you would follow these two, and that would be a small break. When do you take money from your PAs? How much buffer? Well, I've been taking them. You can see 3 of these. I can't think which ones. Probably 17, 34. I've just taken 5,500 each out of them. These I've let grow a little bit. So I don't know. Up until when you start to get payments and you start to get some consistency, you want to just keep taking little bits. Now, that doesn't give you a massive buffer, There's the news. But I only trade. Why is everything frozen? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I expected consumer sentiment to be relatively negative. But that's quite a bit negative. Biggest bar I've ever seen is a 56-point bar. That isn't much far off it. Oh, no, it's 34. That's the biggest bar, 50-odd point bar I've seen. So that bar there is the best part of 30 points. But yeah, I've been just taking bits. The good thing is now, when you hit $2,600, you can only take 500. So that still leaves you $2,100 in there, which is plenty only trading one contract. So I'm okay with that at the moment. But the 3,500s, I'm going to leave those two to close to the end of the month, I think. I don't know. I might just take bits as they come along. We'll see. You know, when you start making a bit of money, you just kind of want it in your bank. And then at some point, what I might do is just take 500. Once I get the lower ones up above $2,600, I think what I'm going to do is just try and take $500 per month out of each account. And then whatever's left, allow them to grow. So if I average, say, $1,000, if I take 500, that'll allow them to grow by 500 a month. Over 5 months, it's an extra 2,500. So that would keep me around about the 5,000 mark. That's kind of, well, I wouldn't say it's a plan. I've just picked that off the top of my head. But, you know, I kind of would like to grow them. Real decision after taking 500 6 times, is that? Then what? Yeah, so I think probably 500 per time and then allow them to grow. But I don't know at what point did we get put onto a live account. I don't quite know how it works. But they do say we can, you know, we don't have to pay any commissions to them. Well, a percentage to them until we hit $25,000. So do they keep you on a sim till you hit $2,500, $25,000 per account before they put you onto live? I'm not sure. So we've got to push down, 2 attempts to push up. That big bearish bar is triggered. Now this is pushing up. So just got to stay out here. We could be making a triple test then down, but I would not want to be in that short because usually, or a lot of the times, we recover this. Yeah, so if you want to be risky, I don't think that's a terrible trade. Just taking to the top there. Plenty of points there. What was the risk? Risks 4.5 points. But I'd expect that to get stopped out. Usually these types of big moves get recovered relatively quick. Or recover relatively quick. That big bearish bar, if that crosses over and starts to pull back, I will be shocked if that doesn't get stopped out. And it is a failure as well. Yeah, there's another one on the 1,000 tick chart that I expected to get stopped out, and it did. So same again, if you want to get a bit aggressive. It's not much, to be fair. It's a couple of points less than that, really. You'd have certainly got your 3 points on there, but it's just a bit too early, this, but it does look like it's pushing up. So we've got to push up with a break, 2 pushes to a new high from this small channel, but we haven't made a new high from this. but we have possibly already had a break. See, whether you think that's a break. See, normally Mac are usually back to this next swing. So if you start from here and drag that up, there's definitely a break there. If you start from there and follow the bottoms, there's still a break. So, I mean, this could come down. It's I don't know, sometimes Mac will add something like that, sometimes he won't. So it's not an exact science. So that's moving up quite quick. So I think that failure wasn't a bad option. I'd expect that to get stopped out, but after this big move, I just like to give it a bit of time because you never know. We may get 2 legs up and it could come down for another leg. You just don't know. Oh, cold tea. Oh. Okay, see if we get a break here. I'll be surprised if that continues up at that rate to the new highs. Disco, how you doing, buddy? Okay, so I thought we'd get a break and we have. So that to me is 1 leg down, so I wouldn't take a long there. Yeah, so Dan's not showing that as a break. I mean, it's irrelevant to the degree now, isn't it? This is clearly a break. I don't think it really matters either way. I'm going to leave it like that anyway, because, you know, I mean, the trouble is, if you go from there to there, it fits perfectly. And yeah, there is a small break. So I think you're best off just leave it. It's irrelevant to a degree, but be interesting to see how Matt reads that when I see his chart. We won't see his bar by bar. In fact, Dan's done something completely different now. Oh, what he's done is took that up like that. Which, yeah, it kind of works like that. But if you put it back down to there, it actually really doesn't make a difference, does it? Now Now, if it does push in up here, then you could probably drop it, but it doesn't look like it's going to. So channel break, new low. So see, I'll be looking for some support here if this is going to push up again. I wouldn't get involved in this early move in case we come down again. A lot of the times those early ones get stopped out, especially when it's congested like that. So I'm not getting involved just too soon, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if we push up a bit and then come down again. So that's why I left that. Now, what would you have got if you did take it? Not a lot. So it's got to push through. So you'd have got 1.5 points out of that, depending on where you got in. Maybe 1.75 points, but excuse me. Whenever you get that, a little bit of congestion, often that traps traders and then or encourages traders to go in the wrong direction. Then we come down for a second leg or whatever it's got to do. But that's obviously the news has caused that. Then we have had a good attempt to push higher. So whether this thing will continue up or not, I don't know. But I always, it's just a bit congested there. And a lot of the times with this channel, you'll have a break or sometimes a couple of legs and then a second leg down. So I'm looking for some support somewhere here for a retest. Whether we get it or not, I don't know. I mean, there's always the possibility now that we've had a good attempt. We've recovered most of this, and now it's continuing in a downward manner. It's hard to say. So what I'm not doing now is getting into a long here, which I did yesterday. So the good thing about that loss I took yesterday, it does remind me, if I'm going to get into a trade like that, make sure it's a proper looking correction and not possibly a larger channel. Leg down, pull back, leg down, pull back, trap me from yesterday and then down again. So if we get a full second leg, that will take us down to here. Now we got support here, you can see it. So maybe that may come into play. It's hard to say. So that ATR's gone up again. It came down to about 3.8. It's gone up to 4.7. Now that's probably had a lot to do with it. Big bars and then still big bars. But I'm assuming it should start to settle again in a bit. So possible second entry short. I'm not in the market for a short at the moment or a long. I'd rather give this a little bit of space because it may come down to here and find some support. We've got some support down there and we've got that measured leg down here. So it may do a second entry short or 2 legs down. It may decide to push up and try and retest this area again. So this is a no trade zone for me because it could go either way. I mean, there is a bullish bar there which is triggered and it's on its way down. So that now looks vulnerable to me. So maybe a second entry short would work, but I could be wrong. Took that high or low. That one there. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of looks like a bit of a double trap to me, that one. Got a big push up, little pullback. Yeah, I mean, if I was going to take a short there, if I'd taken a short there, I'd expect to get stopped out. So it's got you back to the EMA. You certainly got 6 ticks out of it. No argument there. Comfortably. Plenty of room to the EMA. I'd expect that to get stopped out. That to me is vulnerable, but we have had kind of 2 legs back, so you'd expect it to get to the EMA. I don't think there is a bigger channel because it's gone past that anyway. It just looks like 2 legs to me. There's definitely no bigger channel there, really, is there? So that's vulnerable, and that we didn't make a full leg. There's support down here, so but yeah, I mean, Mac did that in one of his trades. He said he got the direction wrong. He didn't. He expected it to get back to the EMA. It was irrelevant what it does then, really. You know, when you take a trade, all you're interested in what it's going to do for the next 1 to 3 points or whatever you want to do. You know, if you can get in the right direction, it's a bonus. But if you're riding it back to the EMA, it doesn't really matter what it does then. You know, that your job is to, you know, pick areas and have targets, and then you know what happens next is kind of irrelevant to a degree. It's funny on this chart here. I have VWAP here, and it's funny how VWAP does play a part, isn't it? You can see it here. It's floating around it. Now you could argue this is looking like a triple test for a push down, but it's quite messy. It's quite whippy. There's definitely going to be shorts trapped there, but there's also going to be longs. So it could rocket up or it could come down. It's hard to say, yeah? I mean, if I was a betting man, what would I expect? I'd expect it to come down a little bit more. Why isn't that moving? Just because we haven't had a full leg, and I'd rather it hit support. I think if buyers are going to come into this market, it's going to be down here somewhere and not here. You wouldn't really want to buy right in the middle of this, would you? So it is 2 legs back. We have had multiple attempts to push higher, and it does seem to be struggling. It doesn't mean it won't work. We've got to push up and a bit of sideways. Often we'll do that. But the fact that we are nicking that EMA and pulling away from it tells me it's probably going to break this area here. Because there's probably, after that push up, there's probably going to be buyers there. But if you're going to buy this market for it to go higher, your orders are going to be down here somewhere. But obviously the more it goes like this, the more unpredictable it gets. Sometimes it'll shoot up to clear up any stops here and then, you know, have a drop down. 2 ticks. Yeah, the 200 EMA on my chart, and it seems to be, yeah, it's amazing how all these things do play a role. Obviously people wouldn't use them. I know, maybe there are a lot of traders, quite a lot of institutions that may use things like VWAP. That I put it on just on my other chart, just out of curiosity, just to see if it seems to play a part. Okay, so this is that push down that I expected. I expect it to get below there because that's strong buying there. So 2 legs down. That was me yesterday. 2 legs and buying that. And I'm pretty sure that'll get stopped out. There may be some stops below there with big drop, push up, pull back, and then up. So I expect there to be maybe stops around that area there. And we've broken that now. So I think here and possibly support. So there's that measured move right to the tick. So there's likely to be support down there. Now, is this going to come back up? It could do, is the answer. But I'm not sure. But we've had a bounce there. In fact, that can go up a touch. Got a bounce, and possibly. But if you're going to buy this market, if you think it's going to go up again, this is where you're going to be having your orders, really, isn't it? We got that move up. That news spiked us down, and then a second attempt. So maybe this is just 2 attempts to push down before we rally a bit and move up. But looking at the daily, we're certainly in line for a move up. Whether we'll get it or not, I don't know. A lot of that may depend on, politics at the moment. I was listening to the news earlier on this morning, and with Trump applying tariffs in the UK or removing support for Ukraine. I know he's got a state visit planned in the UK, and I know they were talking about whether it should be cancelled. And also, he's got another golf club due to open in Scotland, and some people of Scotland are not happy about it. So I don't know what'll happen, but politics is just funny at the moment. So, but yeah, I was just catching up the news and just I was listening to the financial news, just looking at the daily. We haven't had a move down like this in a long time. I mean, if you look at it like that, it's definitely negative, isn't it? There's no arguing there. Is this thing going to drop any more? Who knows? But who knows? But that's pretty negative. We had that one bullish day, didn't we? We attempted to push up, and the market was having none of it, and down it came. We had one. Well, in fact, we had a bullish day there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Not a lot really. We did push up there, but dropped. We're trying to push up now. It is stacking a little bit, so I don't know. Maybe it'll make a difference. Who knows? Okay, so we've made that measured move almost to the tick. And there is support there, so there's maybe a couple of little legs up. Is this going to push up? I'm guessing it probably will attempt to. But would you consider those? What would you consider the overnight highs? Maybe around there. There may be kind of a level to keep an eye on there. Somewhere about there. You can see there. You can see this is played apart, and there a little bit. Definitely there, and possibly here. So there's definitely a level there which, you know, may create a bit of support initially. What I'm going to do is do this channel break, new high bearish bar. That I expect to get stopped out, so that would probably work down to here. I wouldn't take this. I'd probably wait for a lower high, but I don't like picking certain areas. That's for people a bit more experienced than me that may decide to have a go at that. In fact, let's put that back because that looks more like a break. So it hasn't broken it. It did hold. It went up and made a matching high, which surprised me. I thought that was on its way up there, but no, it made a matching high. So if you did take that, you're covered at the moment. Having said that, I would be thinking about getting out now. The fact that sometimes if it does come and nearly get you, that's usually a sign for me that I've got away with it. Let's just get out with a little bit of profit. But I would have expected that to get stopped out, but it has actually. So there was points available there, but I don't generally pick these. It's a bit hit and miss whether they work or not. So you'd have got 3 points out of that. Channel with a break. Price is holding the EMA. I'm just sitting tighter at the moment. Not getting involved at the moment. Rightly so. Triggered you, come down now. Will that hold? I'm guessing it may do. But I wouldn't want to be in that trade. Often when it does that, usually it's curtains. Okay, there is a higher low on the other chart. If you can get above here, I think you're okay. But there's something about this I don't like. So I'm sitting tight. It's a little bit congested here. Now we've got a second entry long there, which goes up and then comes down and almost stops you out and then closes above. But it's just, there's a bit of a battle going on here. I mean, if I was going to take a failure, it'd be on the engulfing there. We got a channel with a break and a new high. So we have made an attempt to push up again, an attempt there, so it may not work. Oh, Mike, you're going to give me a bloody heart failure, you two. Oh, God. Sorry about the barking. Okay, so it wouldn't have worked, and rightly so. I bet there's going to be traders who took that a higher low. They're thinking, yeah, great, we got shorts trapped here. But no, it's just something about this. It's just a bit choppy and a bit risky. Whenever it looks a bit choppy, it's usually for a reason. Now that is a second entry long. Now, would I want to take that? Purely and simply, that EMA is flat as a pancake. If this was going to push up, my guess it would have done it from there. So, yeah, Thomas Waite's a second entry long, but it's below the EMA. Now, it might be different on your chart, but this didn't work. So, I'm not in a hurry to take this. It may work, but I'm just not a fan of it. Yeah, so it worked, but the last second entry long and the failure didn't work on the other chart, so I'm just sitting tight. You took it, but lower target, yeah. I mean, it is a second entry long, isn't it? And I suppose what you could say, it's almost a little bit rangy, so you are coming in right at the lows. So it's a second entry long. When you put that there, it actually doesn't look that bad, does it? So maybe, yeah, we've just come down to it's a bit of support. And if you look, you can see it along there, can't you? So yeah, maybe that. Now put that there, all of a sudden it doesn't look that bad. But at the time, see, at the time I'm looking at this, I'm thinking channel here. There's a bar there which is working high or low. You're thinking, yeah, stops there. We're going up. All of a sudden it triggers and shoots right down. So that put me off thinking about going long, just in case this thing is struggling. But we've had that big drop for the news. We've made an attempt. We've had a couple of legs down, retested this area, and then pushed up. So it makes sense that we're probably going to push up and attempt it again. So, yeah, you can see support along there. So maybe that was a mitigating factor to get involved there. The trouble is you can't see everything at the same time. It's a fast moving market, and not all kind of will be revealed when you need it. You can clearly see there's some support along there. In fact, you can take it back there. I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, maybe call these overnight highs, I don't know. But so it is finding some support, so that gives it that little bit more credence, doesn't it? It's clearly a second entry long. So, yeah, in that case, it doesn't look that bad, I don't think. It was almost second entry long. So, yeah. The trouble is, when it's moving that quick, there's such a lot of information your brain's taking in at the time. You kind of just have to go with what's available and what you decide to do. And sometimes when you have a little bit more time to think, you notice, you know, certain areas. So you would expect another leg up there, at least another attempt to tackle these highs. That didn't work. It went up relatively strong and then came down as quick as it went up. So I won't be taking a long here just yet. Just in case. That one I think is vulnerable. Finding a bit of support, it may come back and encourage buyers to push this higher. I don't know, but I wouldn't get involved in that. Yeah, and rightly so. It triggered you, came straight down. So we know there's support along there, so that may be why it comes down. But I'm on the fence that this is still going to push a bit higher. Isn't it weird how it comes out? It triggers bars like that, comes straight back, stops them out, and then goes straight up. Dan's just posted Max mid-morning chart. This is. I always find it surprising when he shows us that. Oh, is that it there? Is it? So that's more or less how we've got it, isn't it? Yeah. See. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. Has he got that as a break? No, he hasn't. Or has he? No, he hasn't. As I say, it's irrelevant anyway. This obviously clearly is. So Mac's picture ends about here, doesn't it? So, yeah. Break no extreme. He hasn't though, has he? I don't think. I'm assuming this is Max, isn't it? Or is it not? Let's have a look. Have I missed it? Okay, yeah, tell a lie. So we did have that break, yeah. Okay, so we had it how we had it. Good. I'm glad there. Well, I did say I would expect Mac to have it, and he has got it. Great. So that was good. So Dan included it, and we didn't. And we win. Because Mac had it there. Mac says it's so. So, yeah, I mean, if you go from here, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? In fact, he had that right from the get-go, didn't he? So he had that there. And when you run it along the tops, it makes perfect sense. There's no reason why you can't have it there. And that's exactly where he's got it, running between those two bars. Touch there, touch there, touch there, small break, woof, up we go. So, yeah. So, Dan, read 'em and weep. We got it right today. In fact, Dan had the chart that I expected Mac to. Where was Dan's other chart? Look. Did Dan make the yeah. Yeah, this is Dan now. He's not looking so happy now, is it? Yeah, see, at one point Dan took that up there. And in all honesty, that's where Dan hadn't cut. That's kind of what I expected from Mac, to be honest with you. But it hasn't come above here. And you could say it's a two-tiered channel, but that's a one-tiered channel. There's no issues with it. So you don't need to take it up, really. If prices push into this level and work here, that's when you can obviously extend it. But that looks okay. So we have got a break. New high. So is this going to push higher, or is this maybe just going to suck in some long traders? And then come down. So all of a sudden now, the trouble is, it's easy to spot trades like that. It is below the EMA, so it is risky, but the setup itself doesn't look that bad. The context is it's a little bit choppy, and it's in the middle of this little bit, and it is below that EMA, but you would expect that to at least push up to these highs, which it did. And in most cases, that's all you really need. So we're getting a little bit choppy here. So there is a higher low on the. That's already moved now. Yeah, I was going to say there's two legs back. Big bullish bar, and there's a higher low there. There's going to be stops here maybe. So I don't think that was terrible to the tops. It's whether you got enough space to get enough profit out of it. So if you got in there, it lets me. You've got like 2, 2.25 at a push. So I go for 3.25, so it'd have to hit there. But once we're above this, obviously then there's less support, isn't there? Or less resistance. Hence why it's pushed up. So that I don't think was a bad. We'd had this leg up. We kind of had two legs back. I like the fact that you got a bearish bar and that's triggered. So you expect that to get stopped out. Possibly going to be stops above here, but obviously it worked. But I didn't get involved. In fact, what was the risk on it? 4 points. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that's not huge at the moment. That's probably the less riskiest, less amount of risk I've had in a trade. Why can I not move this? There we go. We didn't have it on here, but on the 1,000 tick chart, it was available. So, leg and a leg, so the measured moves played out. So I was very tempted to get into that. But it's just, I don't know, it's just a bit too close together. But it's still a bit, you know, although it is kind of two legs back, it's still a little bit in the middle of this chop going along here. So it could trigger you, hit this level and then maybe come down again. But You know, once it got above all this, then obviously a lot less resistance. So we've hit some support there perfectly. So is this just going to come back to that EMA? Maybe. Trouble is that will be picking a top to me, and I generally don't pick these tops because I'm crap at them, to be honest with you. I'd probably expect it to come to the EMA because we've hit support there. So if you're buying here or you're getting involved here, I suppose it makes sense that you take profits around about here, because there is a chance that that we could sort of pull back a little bit. So I'm guessing you're probably going to make a little bit there if you get back. I mean, you know, there's 4 odd points, so I tend to go for 3 1/4. Well, 3 points, sorry, but it's got 3 1/4. So I think there's a good chance we get to there. It doesn't make sense. There's no reason not to, really. If you want to buy back in for another move up, this is kind of where you're going to do it anyway. So it would have worked, but I'm not risking 20. Well, it was 20 without the tick above. I'm not risking 4.5 points because I think it may push down. As I say, I don't generally pick tops. We have had a leg and a leg, so it would kind of make sense. But if you look at Penguin style of trading, a lot of the times when we have a channel up, he'll say we got a break, 2 attempts to push up. If we get a strong move below that EMA, he would expect price to come down and retest this bottom. Trouble is, there's also a lot of support there. So if you got into a failure, you haven't got much space. Even if you took a failure on the engulfing, you haven't got much space to support again. And this is where you'd expect it to, you know, slow up a touch. This is struggling for me. Okay, we're up there. So maybe this is just 2 legs up. We'll see. That would be a measured move. Trouble is, if you get close to this, I can't see it failing before it breaks those highs. And the fact that we have pushed up, only come back to the EMA if we push up again. Oh, so Dan took that. I'm surprised, actually. You say it's a second entry. It is by the count, but to be honest with you, it looks more like a leg to me. We could get a leg, a trigger and another leg. So I wouldn't have taken that personally. That to me is a little channel. So going long in the channel, I just wouldn't do it. Just in case it triggers you and then comes down again. It could come down and test support here before it pushes up. There is support here. You can see we've hit it 3 times. So you don't know whether it's going to trigger that, come down and touch support again before it goes higher. So not one for me personally. Okay, so we're up to that measured move. It's touched it perfectly. So is it going to break the highs? You would think so, but maybe it won't. It's hard to say. So one leg up, two legs up. Let's see what happens now. That's interesting. There's a lower high there. Fridays. You know what Friday means? Whiskey. Technically went Thursday, Wednesday as well, I think. So is this going to come back to the EMA? I'd guess so. We're struggling a bit there. So there's not enough buyers there, I'd say. So, well, there we go. Maybe I'm wrong. But I would prefer that to get back to here. I won't take the lower high. In fact, it's a failure on the 1,000 tick chart. Trouble is we're already at the EMA here. So is this going to drop? I wouldn't be surprised, but then we could get a failed breakout. There's kind of a bit of sideways there, so it could come down and then push up, or it could absolutely drop, which wouldn't surprise me either. I never assume anything. You know, so many times I'll be looking for any entry in here just to get to the tops. But I'm sitting tight here. We've made a measured leg. We've made two clear legs up. So this is losing momentum to me. So I have a feeling we could start to make a big drop down. I hope I'm wrong. But we're clearly struggling. So I want a big strong push below that EMA, because if we do, then I'm guessing this thing is going to come down penguin style. Two perfect legs up, measured move, couldn't get above there. Once it pushes strong below that EMA, he'd be getting into a trade here somewhere. Whether he will or not, I don't know, but that's that type of break. Two attempts to push high, fails, and then down. So my guess is this thing's going to come down here to areas like this, and who knows, maybe even further. We've had two clear attempts to push up nice in the way of a measured leg. I can't say that that's going to push up now, to be fair. There is a failure there, but I'm just not interested at the moment. Or possible failure. It is right under that EMA. So if you're going to get buyers, this is kind of where they're going to be. So the lower high did work back to the EMA, plenty of points there, comfortably 5 or 6. So is there a channel there? I don't think there is. It's a bit messy if there is. Maybe. I'm not a fan of it though. It's a bit higgledy-piggledy for me. Shoulder, head, shoulder, which is a bearish pattern. Ooh. Okay, how long have we been going for? I'm just going to take a quick 5 minutes, hour and a half. Okay, I'm just going to take 5, leave this thing to sort itself out. It does look like it's trying. We've come back to the EMA. We have had a strong push, so I think there's a good chance we get up there. So I'm going to leave that like that and just put that on there quickly. Let's move it over for Gioni. Okay, so I'll be about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, Le's back. Okay, so we did push up, made a new high. Let me just get rid of that. I should brighten up in a minute. It's a bit dark at the minute. Let's see if we can do something there. Let's take that off. Let's pop it up a bit. Bit more. Bit more. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so let's clean up some of this. So strong move, actually. So it doesn't so much look like a channel this, it's more just a series of, well, it's more like just a mess really, isn't it? So yeah, it just couldn't get up here, and there is some support there, so it came back to the MA, and then obviously buyers got in and pushed that thing up somewhat more. I like that channel, it's fitting nice as almost like a very small two-tiered channel. So the trouble is, because we've now had such a strong move, little second entry for me would be a bit risky. Okay, happy Friday, everyone. Whiskey Friday. It's kind of Whiskey Wednesday as well, wasn't it? Okay, that's a bit bright now. Oh, it's gone bright outside. How many jobs can you sit at nowadays and have a single malt when you're working? Just doesn't happen, does it? Doesn't exist. I mean, that's strong, isn't it? So yeah, we did test that area and then it took off from there. You could say that's a triple test. In fact, it may not have been a bad place to if it had been a little lower with maybe a bit of a tail, it wouldn't have been a bad place to slowly work up from. I mean, trouble is, hindsight's easy, isn't it? I mean, look at that. God, crikey. I mean, even up to the highs, there's 35 points. You see an overshoot on the channel. When you say an overshoot, are you talking about this channel here? Start at 1520 something. $15.21. You talk about my time, are you? 1521? Because we're only here now. Is that Central Time? I'm not sure what you mean there. 1521 Central Time. You might have to elaborate there a little bit, Mike. You want about 1 hour? Oh, 1 hour back. Right, so I'm assuming you did a channel up here, did you? Something like that. So where are we now? So around about, so you're on about here somewhere. Yeah, I mean, it's irrelevant to a degree now. I don't think there's a bigger channel there. You just got to follow the smaller stuff at the moment. Unfortunately, now we're above all this. Going to call it a day there. You have a nice weekend. Thanks again. Yeah, you're welcome, mate. Take it easy. Have a good weekend. So, leg and a leg. See, this channel here, a small channel, it does look like a little two-tiered channel because we push up to the top and then have two legs back. Is this going to continue higher now? That is the golden question. So let's just do that and that. So obviously there's a possibility we could go a bit higher. We got yesterday's highs here. Previous days, oh no, we're way up there. Kind of two legs down, but that's just standing too far off that EMA for me, and it is too choppy. It could slip below. If you do a measured leg there, that would take us below that. I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah, it would. So I wouldn't take a trade here. Really, if you're going to go long from here, it's got to be down here. But as we've had clearly had a break, and that push there obviously pushed strongly, pushed above there. So is this thing going to continue up? It's hard to say. I'd like to think there's going to be a channel at some point there. The only issue I have with that, I mean, you could do something like that. It's hard to say, isn't it? I've been watching Mac too long now, look. I mean, we could have a second leg up there. It's hard to say. It'd be interesting to see if anybody else has got... That's what I got. Just slimmer there. Yeah. So Thomas Wade, so you got that overshoot there. So if you have that, then you've got an overshoot, which might mean we have a bigger correction. So that might be the one that pushes up. But I don't like this at the moment. If we do have an overshoot, then sometimes we'll have a correction, it'll push back. But sometimes it can obviously result in a reversal. So I'm just not taking a trade at the moment. What I will say on this other chart is we got two legs back and a push up. Trouble is, I don't like it when it hasn't broken below there. So I think it's risky. It's just a bit unclear here. It's a little bit choppy. Are we going to continue up or are we not? We don't know really. There is a possible higher low forming on here, but I don't like this. If it gets above there, it may get above there. So there is a potential, but there's not that much. Something about this I just don't like. Is it going to work? It may do, but it's not got enough points for me. So, you know, if you get in there, there's a 0.5. It pushes above it. You know, it might push up there, but it might not. It might turn. So at the moment, you're up to a 1.5. And it might be losing a bit of traction. We got a leg down sideways, leg down. I don't like this. It's looking very trappy. If you went long there, trigger just stopped you out. If you went short there, trigger just stopped you out. If you went long there, it's triggered you. Is it going to stop you out? I don't know. What I will say is two legs down, and I think if you stops down, it's probably at the safest part. Unfortunately, just to these tops is a 0.5, and you've got to push above it to make that count. So this to me looks a bit trappy. I think it'd probably work. I mean, you're likely to have some stops there, but I don't want probably. Okay, so it clicked up there, maybe took a few stops out. Yeah, I'm not a super fan of this at the moment. I mean, if you talk about the obvious side of it, it's 2 legs back with a move up. But where's it going? With such a strong push up above the highs of the day, I'd expect a bit more than just that. And look at that all of a sudden. That's my point. That's my point. Sometimes it'll break these and then turn. So if I'd have taken that now, I'd have signed my own death warrant. High or low. So I'd have got up there. So I'd have think, yeah, let's push up these highs. 4 points, plenty. All of a sudden it's 0.75 and reverses. Takes out that and takes out that, which is why I didn't get in there. Even though it's 2 legs back and it kind of looks okay, you'd have got a small scalp out of it, nothing more. But from my point of view, strong move like that above these highs, I'd expect something more than just that and then up. And also, what's the volume here? And also with an overshoot. Sometimes with an overshoot, it'll come back, push up, make a new high and reverse. Sometimes we'll have a bigger correction. Sometimes it'll break out the same amount that side as this side, and then it'll continue on if it's strong enough. Other times it'll just reverse. So I'm just going to have to sit tight here, which is fine. I've not had a bad week, actually. I had a loss yesterday, but I had a win during the stream and I had a win later. So I ended up around about $30 up per account yesterday. So what am I for the week? I think I'm around about $320 up per account. I can't remember whether I've had 3 winning trades, 3 days. I can't remember now. What did I do Monday? In fact, I can say I usually write it down. So yesterday, yeah, was up around about $25. Day before, 150. Day before, 220. Yeah, so 375. So I'm up about, I think, about $400 this week so far per account, which is perfect. You do that times 4, that's just a ton of money. So, you know, if I can even get, even if I can get $1,000 on average per account per month, I'm super chuffed for that. So there's not much you can do here. You just got to sit tight. I want to be... You want to be me when I grow up? I still haven't considered myself as fully grown up, to be honest with you. I still act like a child sometimes, especially when I'm around my daughter. I think all guys have that time where they switch off, don't they, and they act like kids. So, yeah, I hope I never grow up, to be honest with you. Sure, every week. It's only really happened recently, though. I'd say the last couple of months of the year and the first 3 months of the year. It's just because I seem to have found a level where I'm being a little bit sensible and following. It's not so much the rules. I still take the odd loss, as you know. But what I've stopped doing is taking stupid risky trades, which I used to do a lot of the times after the stream. If I'd had a bad day, I'd come back and I'd take risky trades. Now, I lost the trade first and I was down about 250, 275 something. So I took one trade after, which I thought was a good trade. And I came back and I sat here for about an hour and a half. Now, a lot of the times before Christmas, if the markets were just going up, I'd have probably just bought a risky trade. And to be honest with you, it rarely works when you do that, and then I'd have been kicking myself. And then what I may have done then is taken 2 or 3 accounts which were lower and trade them a bit more risky, and one thing leads to another. But I've just started to... It sounds simple. It is simple, but it's kind of, the theory is simple. You sit at the charts, you have a time where you start and you finish, you wait for a setup, you take the setup, whatever happens, you move on. The maze down nice now. But doing it is a lot more different. It's a lot harder. But if you finally mess up, and you get to a point where you just get sick of doing it, you just get sick of making the same stupid, risky decisions. When you stop that, things start to work. Now, your accounts grow at a slightly slower pace than you used to. And the reason you're used to them growing a bit quicker is because you're taking silly risks. And yeah, you'll get away with it sometimes. But the simple answer is, if you're doing something stupid and you blow a account, you just buy another one. Well, it's kind of counterproductive, really, because you make a bit, lose a bit, make a bit. You don't actually really get anywhere. So when you start taking a trade and accepting it and walking away, that's all you've got to do. Now, I know it might sound a bit rich coming from me, but all you've got to do is wait for a setup, take it, and then move on. Wait again. And if you can do it, that's when things will change. Obviously, you need some skills, so you need to have been doing it a while. Obviously, you can't have one without the other. But I've just stopped revenge trading and I've stopped doing stupid things. Now, having said that, I've still had those moments, as you know, where I've risked the odd new account, but it hasn't worked. It'll work 2 or 3 days in a row, but that I'm taking big risks on those and I'm trying to grow them quick. And it might work 3 times, but the 4th time it doesn't work, you'll blow an account. So it's not sustainable. So I've just decided now to lock them all there and let them grow slow naturally. And how many times have we been told in the past it's not a get-rich-quick scheme? But when you hear stories about people earning $20,000, $40,000, you try and rush it. And if you let your accounts grow organically, you'll still earn plenty of money. It just seems to take forever for them to grow. But even if they're growing by $1,000 a month, it doesn't sound a lot. But if you have 10 accounts at $3,000 and you say, okay, now at the end of the month, I'll withdraw. If you had $1,000, which is a small amount really, only $250 a week, on 20 accounts, you could be pulling in $20,000 a month. No one earns $20,000 a month. Seriously. It's $250,000 a year. The only people who earn that sort of money is people in big business. People with really extra special jobs, really. You don't get carpenters, bricklayers, teachers, nurses. Most doctors don't earn nowhere near that. Professional people don't earn that sort of money. So, and you don't need to do a lot, but sticking to it, when there's that desire to make that money quick is really hard. And it does take, I've said before, if you bang your head against the walls, sooner or later you'll realise it hurts. And that's kind of what it is with trading. You do stupid things again and again, and every time you say, I'm not going to do it again. And in the end, I think you just give up. You just think it's not working. Maybe doctors and you high jobs. Well, put it this way, a GP in the UK, general practitioner, earns about 60 to 70,000. Now, there's going to be a bit of overtime there. Maybe, registrars, maybe 150, 180. But you think about the hours that they're doing, 50, 60 hours a week, travelling to different hospitals. Think about the responsibility. You can earn that sort of money working 3 hours a day from the comfort of your own home. So there's plenty of money to be earned. You don't need to perform miracles. And that's the beauty with prop firms. We've got that the ability to be able to trade large amounts, only risking a very small amount of your own money. Better in Spain, is it really? Yeah. It is surprising. I think if you went over, well, let's have a look. If you went over 100,000, what are the top? So top. UK. Oh, top 2% of earners in the UK. They are. Top 2% of earners in the UK. So the average wage in the UK is just over 33,000. So the top, that 10th, it's not a huge amount of money. It's really not. From a trader's point of view, it's not a huge amount of money. What's the top 1% of earners? So the top 1% is, that's not right. Top 1% earners UK. Is that right? I don't know what's changed there. The top 1%. It's just UK, yeah. 200,000. So yeah, that's probably about right. 200,000. I hate it when they do this. So yeah, probably doctors anyway, on vocational professionals. Yeah, it's crazy, really. The types of money you earn. Yeah, okay. So pre-tax, top 1%. If you earned 200,000 a year, you'd be in the top 1%. There's very few people earning that sort of money. 15,000 a month. Yeah, 15,000 a month. It's not huge, really, when you think about it. Realistically, if you've got 20 accounts and you earn an average of $250 a week, that's $20,000 per month. That's 240,000. That's just under 200,000 UK pounds. So once it's you're talking serious money, really. Okay, so it's a little bit more than I thought. So yeah, doctors' starting salary in the UK, it has gone up a bit, usually between that annually. Obviously, the top end of doctors and salary ranging from 35 as a foundational one to. So if you're a very experienced doctor in the UK, you're looking at about 120,000. And you're going to have 10 to 12, maybe 15 years experience to earn that sort of money. And you think about the hours you're doing. I used to do karate with a doctor, and I don't think he ever did less than 50 hours a week. And not only that, it's a massive responsibility. That doctor incidentally fractured one of my ribs, strangely enough. So yeah, it's surprising, really, isn't it? You think how many hours, how many years of education you've done for that. You've had to work hard at school, you've gone to college or university, you've done your A-levels, and you'll have gone to medical school. I'm sure it's about 7 years at medical school plus private practice. Yeah, I mean, you can extend that, can't you? But you're going to have to be a very highly educated person. You're going to have to spend a lot of time in education and medical school, years. You're talking maybe 10, 12, 15 years before you're earning in excess of 200,000. But then you're kind of capped, whereas a trader once said to me, get the trading right and the money will just start to follow you. You can always, sort of calculate up, can't you? Whereas with a doctor, you're kind of capped to a degree. A lot less responsibility, a lot less hours, a lot more freedom. You think when you got people's lives in your hand. So what are people thinking here about this? How are people's charts looking? Yeah, so Thomas Wade's got that, but with a break, it doesn't seem to make much difference. Mind you, we got a break there. A lot of times it'll do this: 2 push up, make a new high in reverse. So have we had 2 legs there? We're not far away. That one's a bit steeper, so perhaps we've had close to it. We're not far away. No, we're not. So we've had a leg up with a bit of a correction, then another leg up. So overshoot, sometimes it'll push up, make a new high, weaken and reverse. Break ahead. So, let's see. I think you may have mentioned. I certainly did. I got your website up, your YouTube channel, your channel up. Been difficult, PA, yeah, I did. I got your YouTube. I mentioned you earlier, bud, and I got your YouTube channel up, and I gave you a like and I subscribed to you yesterday. So you're welcome, mate. You know I'm happy to support people. No problem at all with that, mate. What you want to do is get yourself an affiliate link as well. You may get a little bit of a kickback from it. Doesn't cost anybody anymore, so get yourself an affiliate link from What's It. And if you get your viewers and you know they don't mind using your code, happy days. Thank you. And not to trade. Yeah, I've not took any today myself. It's not been the easiest of days. It's been a little bit. It's kind of unclear, really. I can't see anything obvious that I think I missed. Channel up, 2 legs back a little bit. May have been something there, but it's just a little bit stacked up. But apart from that, I can't see nothing really. So how many did you take? I've been struggling, yeah, plenty of days like that, mate. The trick is, you know, the days that struggle are character building and they give you lessons as well. It doesn't feel like it at the time. Unfortunately, most traders, and me included, in fact, I'm a champion of it, just tend to throw way too much money at it. And the trouble is, when you do learn the lessons, they're more painful. You may argue that you learn them better, but I'm not convinced you do. I think I learned to trade the hard way. You know, someone asked me, would I teach my daughter to trade? And I kind of think no, because I wouldn't want her to go for the experience that I have. There's obviously better ways to learn to trade than the way I did it, just by pure stubbornness and pig-headedness. I thought I knew it all. I thought my way's the best way, and I had a quick awakening. But when you do make mistakes and you get trapped and you get stuck and you lose trades, I can't tell you enough how valuable those lessons are, and they're what craft you into being a trader. You know, they carve you and mold you. You know, into understanding things. You know, for instance, I had a lesson yesterday. A lot of the times I do keep an eye out for these corrections. Where was the one I took yesterday? I can't remember what it was. Was that yesterday? Was that even yesterday? Yeah, it was. I think it was there I took it. Yeah, we had a channel up and a correction. Now, corrections really are better off like that. That's a better correction. Much further apart and then down. But, you know, the way I had it, I completely misread it and I put my hands up to that. That's more of a channel than a correction. It's too close together, much better like that. So I learned something yesterday. I've made those mistakes before, not that many. So next time I take what I believe to be a correction, next time I'll remember that. And, you know, these lessons can be costly, so you do remember them. And what it does is it slowly tweaks that brain day after day. And it is like learning to drive. You ever try braking with your left foot? If you've never done it, have a go. You almost come to a grinding halt. It's surprising how finely tuned that right foot is. Obviously, I don't know how you drive on the wrong side of the road, don't you, in the US? But, you know, you brake with your right ear, but if you try braking with your left, it's near damn impossible. And you don't realise how finely tuned that right leg is. And it's kind of the same with trading. Every time you make a little mistake and a little hiccup, it carves you and molds you. And sooner or later, instead of doing this, you do that nice, smooth, slow sailing. So those mistakes, get something out. I try and not beat myself up anymore. I used to. I try and work out what I did wrong and remember it. And sooner or later, you'll make less of them. So mistakes, although painful, are actually part of your learning. We just don't realise it at the time. We concentrate on the pain too much and not on the positive side of it. And also, as part of your learning, my personal recommendation, get yourself a good quality scotch. That makes the journey a lot less painful. I don't know no jobs that you can sit there and have a scotch while you're at work. Makes the day a lot more fun, put it that way. Tell my pain, yeah. I don't have much. I probably have a double a day on average. Sometimes a bit more. Pain's there for a reason. To guide us, to tell us not to do something. You stick your finger in a fire, you'll realise what not to do quickly. So pain is there for a reason. It's a reminder we're doing something wrong. Want you to take their tariffs off their whiskey. The one thing I don't need to worry about is the whiskey I buy comes from Scotland, which is part of Great Britain, so I never have to worry about tariffs. There is a little second entry on the 1,000 tick chart, but it's just a bit small for me, to be honest with you. I dare say there's a lower high there, so it may work, but it's a bit small and a bit compact for me. Have their own whiskey, yeah. Well, Scotland's part of the United Kingdom, isn't it? So we get it. See, if you live in Scotland, it comes in the water. In fact, Dan messaged me yesterday. I was taking the mickey a little bit with Dan. He said to me he wanted to, but now I believe Dan earns a lot of money. So he asked me, could I recommend a whiskey for a birthday for an uncle? So knowing how much money he earns, I sent him this. Why can I not move that? Okay. Where is it? Where is it? Was it down? Why can I not see it? Yeah, I sent him that. Well, I figure he can afford it. He said he wanted to buy his uncle a nice bottle of scotch. Can I recommend one? So I sent him that. I thought he's not short of a few quid, is he? His uncle might get something out of it. Look at that, 7,000 for a bottle of 40-year-old Balvenie. Yeah, that's a cheap bottle of scotch. Most expensive bottle of scotch went for $6 million. Shocking, really, isn't it? Anybody know why whiskey gets more expensive the older it gets? I'll try for the pros. It gets more expensive because there's less of it. The longer it's been sat in a barrel, they have something called the angel's share. You lose something like a small percentage of evaporation every year. So the older it is, the less there is of it, which is why it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to taste any better. In some cases, it tastes worse. So I'd hate to think, mate, you wouldn't want to spill a drop, would you? But yeah, every year they're sat in a cask. They lose what they call the angel's share. I don't know if it's something like 3% a year, something like that. Nice factoid, but yeah, every that's why they get more expensive, because obviously there's a lot less. And once you get realistically above 16 years, price starts to just shock up. It's shocking. I know a couple of days before Christmas, I went into a bar in town where I live, and I paid £17 for a double. Just check my wife isn't listening. For a double, I think it was a 16-year-old Macallan. I think it was about £16 or £17 for a double. So yeah, you can. Was it worth that? No, definitely not. I do like Macallan, but it didn't taste like £16 worth, put it that way. And that was for, so £16 if you were going to buy that. If you're going to have a bottle at that price, it would be expensive. I think a 16-year-old Macallan's about £180 bottle of wine, but yeah, it doesn't mean it's going to taste better. There's just less of it. You can actually invest in whiskey now. It's supposed to yield quite a good return. Obviously, you buy a barrel, and obviously, the longer you can keep it. I'm not having a bad day at all, Chris. How you doing, bud? No trades as yet today, which is not a bad thing. You know, I'm quite happy if I haven't sent any, not to take any. How long have we been going for? 2 hours and 10 minutes. There's nothing that's obvious. The only one I can see now, you know, that I didn't think was bad was that one. But we'd had it a little bit of support there, and it was a little bit below the EMA, so I kind of sat tight there, but it did work. It's been a tough day for me. You taking any of you? It's always more important, I think. Oh, look at this, right to that measured move. To try and be green, I think if you're green or even at 0 on a Friday, it does improve your weekend, I must say. How would you rate Beckham's whiskey? I haven't tried it, to be honest with you. What's it called? I know he's been involved with one. I've not tried it. I'm assuming it's a British whiskey. I've only ever tried one British whiskey, which I had a week and a half ago, a couple of weeks ago. Oh, hey, yes, I have seen it. It's been around for a while. No, I haven't tried it. It's in like a very dark blue square bottle, isn't it? I have seen it, but I haven't tried it. Just micros today, a bit more forgiving. Yeah, they are. You're not wrong. Yeah, I've not tried it. I tend to stick to Scotch particularly because they're a lot more reliable, I think. I've tried Japanese whiskey, not a massive fan. Welsh whiskey was okay. British whiskey just tasted like a cheap blend to me. It didn't have any real depth. But what I will say is if you drink Scotch, the difference between a Scotch, which has to be a minimum of 3 years, and the difference is once you go up to 12 years, that develops a whole flavour of itself. You know, it's like having a cheese. It's like having a cheese that's just watered down. Cheese, for me, needs to be tasty, full of flavour and rich. And, you know, you have a 3 or 5 year old whiskey and you have a 12-year-old whiskey. You know, it might sound a little bit ignorant, but when you drunk Scotch for a while, you really do develop a taste for it, and you can tell them apart. You know, you've convinced me to grab a glass of Royal E12. That's sent to me. Yeah, it takes a while to learn to drink whiskey. I'd say it takes you a couple of bottles. So if you're going to drink scotch, what I would do is have yourself one single shot every single day. Get one bottle. It's not a lot. It's the equivalent of 1 unit. That's all. So it's 7 units. I think the safe amount for a male is about 14 units a week. Get a bottle and have one single shot every night and sip it and sip it. And it'll burn your mouth and so on. But once you get to the second bottle, that burn starts to go. It's like having a hot curry. Once you develop a tolerance for it, you start then to get the flavour. And another thing I do as well is when you finish a whiskey, just put your glass down and go back to it after an hour, and what little drops have evaporated, and then smell it. And you get a lot more of the flavour out of it. It has to be malt at least. Single malt. The only difference between single malt really and a blended whiskey is it is one single type of malt from one single grain, whereas obviously, you know, blended whiskies are from different types of, whiskies. They tend to blend them together, but a single malt develops a very unique flavour. You know, you don't really get blended peated whiskies that I think are any good. But it does take a while. I've been drinking single malt now for probably 12 to 15 years, I'd say, something like that. 12 to 15 years, something like that. But you do get really good at tastes and flavours, and it's amazing how different. You know, first times I ever drank whiskey, I couldn't tell one whiskey from the next. They all burnt my mouth out. But, you know, you could give me 5 bottles of whiskies that I've had more than one bottle of, and I'll tell you the difference easily. It's surprising how easy it is. For me, it's like tasting the difference between lager, bitter, and Guinness. They're a mile apart. Blended malt, single malt, yeah. I mean, there are some blended malts that are okay. Some of them are okay. I drank whiskey every day. Should have called me alcoholic trader stuff. Yeah, I mean, I have a whiskey more or less every day, but I probably tend to have a double. Some days I don't. But it's not a huge amount, to be honest with you. In fact, if you have 1 or 2 shots a day of whiskey, it has massive health benefits. They've got cancer-fighting properties, antioxidants. It's surprising, really, that a small amount, you know, a single or a double whiskey a day does you more good than harm. And it's a fact. But I do warn you, it does go down so easier. I mean, I could drink 2 or 3 whiskies. I could drink a quarter of a bottle of whiskey relatively easy without taking a breath. Because you do develop a taste for it. But it's like anything. If you have anything spicy enough times, it starts to be, you know, your palate gets used to it. It tastes so good. I don't have it in the house. Yeah, it does take a while. Usually it burns your mouth out and it gives you a sickly flavour. But if you drink enough of it, you do get to develop a taste for it. I mean, my wife started having a little bit a few years ago. It used to make her feel sick. And I said, have a little drink every day. Now she drinks as much as I do. So that was a big mistake on my behalf. And maybe even put a little bit of water in. And some people may say that's sacrilege, but it's not really. Most whiskies, when they're blended, when they come out of the cask, are watered down anyway. They water them down mostly to 40%. They just add spring water. But the purists kind of like the natural strength. So there's one of my favourites, Bunnahabhain Strudadair, which is a 12-year-old single malt, which is 46%. And the only difference between that and a 40% is just that little bit more water. But, you know, I don't have a problem drinking 46 or 48%, and the purists like them. They like them non-chill filtered as well. Lots of whiskies are chilled and then filtered. The purists, they like it how it comes out, really. But you do get you do develop a taste for it. It's very easy. Yeah, with Coke. Have you tried it with Coke? I will have done in the past at some point, yeah. But for me, drinking whiskey is like eating a really good quality cheese, you know, like a Stilton or a Gouda or something like that. It's strong, it's rich, it tastes beautiful, but don't have a lot of it. But another one of my favourites actually is she's a master blender called Rachel Barry, who makes what is it, Ben Rack. It's a 10-year-old single malt. She's the master blender, Rachel Barry, something like that. That's one of my favourites. But I like my peated whiskies, the ones where the barley is dried instead of by burning wood, by burning peat. It puts a really smoky taste, which when you first try it is disgusting. I first ever tried one, I forget what it was now. It had a black label. And I remember buying it and thinking, it was probably about the third or fourth bottle of whiskey I'd ever have, and I thought, I can't drink that. It was disgusting. You're up $3. Have a good, yeah, you too, Chris. I should do training streams. Whiskey. I've been to loads of whiskey evenings, actually. Those tasting ones, they're a good idea because you get to taste a lot. I went to my first one 10, 12 years ago. But they're good to taste lots of different whiskies. Trouble is, they go down. When you've had them for a while, they go down so easy. It's very easy to drink too much. I took I think it was what was it I took? I took a bottle of whiskey out on New Year's Eve and drank 3/4 of it. So, it's a small amount of volume. So when you get a taste for it, it's very easy for them to start slipping down. It's hard to trade this. A lot of times it comes back and just moves. You should trade the MNQ. It's easier. I've tried before, but Marco messaged me the other day and said he was trading the CL, which I think a lot of us had a go at maybe a year ago, and it produced some trades. But what I found is trading these quite fast-moving markets, you've got to focus on what's going on. And if you're splitting your focus down over two charts, I found out I was either focusing on one more than the other. So I was only really trading one. So in the end, I just kind of, went back to this. I am looking at the 1,000-tick chart. Someone mentioned it yesterday, and sometimes this breaks the picture down and makes it a little bit clearer. Now, I'm trading the same chart here, so it's easy to flick my eyes from one to another. It's not a completely different chart, so, I'm okay to trade this as well. And this sometimes, might break these moves down a little bit, and you may get a clearer NQ as well. Yeah, I find it too quick for me, I think. I also find the bars average out pretty well. They're very similar in size, whereas the NQ, I find sometimes the bars are a lot bigger. Nice one, MNQ. You can make yes-type money. I don't doubt it, mate. I don't doubt it. But I've been trading this now for not long away of 4 years. So I'm kind of used to how it works, and it does me okay. So you know what they say, if it's not broke, don't try and fix it. So what I will say is there is a possibility we may have already had a break here. Have you ever come across Lot will be Lot Outdoors on YouTube? He goes wild camping. Does a whiskey review every... No, I haven't seen him actually. Let me take a photo of that. I do watch one guy. There's a Canadian guy. It's Outdoor Boys channel. So I watch him sometimes. Outdoors on YouTube. I'll have a look at that. There is a German guy I work actually, who was a master blender that I watch. Yeah, and his son. I forget his name now. He's very knowledgeable. He's a master blender. Well, he was a master blender for years. I watch him from time to time. But a lot of people can break these whiskies down and get all these individual flavours. I find that really hard. I've never been very good at it. People can have a smell of a whiskey and say, I can taste, I can smell sultanas, I can smell vanilla, I can smell tangerines, I can smell marzipan, the oddest. I can't really. There are certain smells I can pick out of them. Vanilla's one of them. Orange is another one, but I can't pick much else. It spoils my enjoyment of it, but some people can pick a dozen tiny little notes of flavours out of whiskey. I've never been able to do that. Perhaps my nosing skills aren't that good. So, leg down, sideways, I expect another leg down. Was such a big move up. I'll be surprised if we get that and it pushes up. Shall I break? Now, there is a possible second entry longy, but I'm not taking it. It's a little bit choppy. And I'm not sure what to expect here. Why has my camera gone funky? It's better. So we got a channel down, one attempt to push higher, second attempt to push higher. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing comes down. So I expect something like that. Now, I could be wrong, obviously. But I wouldn't expect this and then that straight away. Channel down, close outside, new low. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. I can't see there's going to be enough buyers pushing this up, so I think this is going to fail down below this. Let's have a little zoom out in a minute. So we have made two measured legs up there. I think it was relatively perfect as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah. Sim account today, 12 points up, 45 trades. I'll tell you a quick story. After I've been trading about a month, I decided to give my job up and put $5,000 into an account And I remember once I expected to be about $80 up, and I had about 145 in commissions, which I never took into consideration. Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? We do some odd things, don't we? It's shorts having to cover, which is keeping this rally going. See, we may have already had a small break there. 2 legs up and then a retest. It's hard to say, but I still expect this to come down. It's struggling to get up. So I wouldn't expect that, followed by that. Next week might be a green week reversal ahead. Let's hope so. We've got to be due some sort of a rally, haven't we? I suppose that's as good as a rally, isn't it? How many points have we come up today? Just shy of 100 points. But is it going to last? Who knows? One, two, three. First day crossing the 70 EMA in the hour on the hourly. Down we come. The reason I say that, whether we will or not, I just noticed we triggered above there. So leg down. I'd like to see that drop down there. 2 legs up, leg down. This is getting nowhere for me. I could be wrong, of course, but push up sideways. That gives it a little bit more structure, doesn't it? If it goes sideways before it pushes up. This is an example. The trend up day. Too many traders looking for the short all the way higher. Yeah. Oh, I think it'll continue up, I think. But after this, I'd expect more than just that and a push up to a new high. Usually, with such a big move up, it'll mess around for a bit or take the scenic route, which I heard it described once. Now, there may be a small break there. I'm not convinced there is. That fits just as well. So I'd expect at least 2 attempts to go lower before it pushes higher. Not only that, because we've made the measured leg up as well. We've hit 2 legs up. So I think there's going to be traders taking profits here, which I think would just give us that little bit of a pullback. And then you can see we've got some support here. If you're going to push this higher, I just think where I'd want to buy here, I wouldn't want to buy here because we're in the middle of the top and the bottom here. So for me, if I was thinking about picking a place to buy this, it would be down here. And I like to think most traders out there are as smart as I am. That was a joke. They're going to buy down here. So 2 legs down. I expect to get. It may work. What I will say is when you push up, we go a little bit of sideways. It does lay down a bit of structure and a bit of support, which might alter. So just my gut feeling when it goes sideways, it may all. But if I was to bet money, I'd rather bet on it pushing down towards this area before it hits these highs. But what do I know? So push up twice back to the EMA, so it may hold. You could say 1, 2, 3 possible triple tests. I don't. I think most buyers, if they're going to be buyers in here, are going to be down here. Well, there's obviously buyers in here. They're more likely to have orders down here, I'd say, personally. It kind of makes sense, doesn't it, if you think about it like that? Buying around this area, like I say, it's between the middle of the top and bottom. You give yourself more risk. Short squeeze. I think it's got a bounce here. You could say 1 bounce, 2 bounce, 3 bounce. It may be a good place to take a triple test. Trouble is, we've had a break and we've made 1 attempt, and it's clearly struggled. So for me, the next obvious place to enter this, if you're going to buy, is got to be down here at support. Can't see any other bigger channel up there. For me, this is just a clear break and a little bit of sideways. Not only down here, I'd like it to break below there, because this second leg, if it's the same distance, will clear that out. That's okay, pull back. I expect that leg down, pull back, but I still expect it to come down to this area here. Oh. Now, it's triggered that little bull bar there, which I think is better. Once it comes down below there, which it's going to, that may give it that little bit of momentum. There we go. So that little bit of push there. If there's any traders buying there, I get why traders may take that as a second entry long, but it's just, with all this down here, makes sense to me that it's going to test this area. You're not 1 today. I'm taking it easy. Yep. Enjoying my whiskey. Good on you, Ben. If you're up 1 today, it's rare I take more than 1 trade in a day, to be honest with you. You're a buyer here. It's rare I take 1 trade a day. Not only that, I'd like it to break below there. And if you're up a trade on a Friday, it's a great place to call it a day, I think. It's always nice to end the day green. Now that is a nice correction. And you could argue a triple test. Now, do I want to trade there? I don't, because I prefer it to break below there. Although it's probably not a terrible place to take a trade. You could argue that. But this, I'm just going to sit tight here, because I prefer it to get below there. In fact, that might be a better place to put that. Why can I not light that up? There we go. It's got to come down a bit lower, really. It's correction. It's like a correction that. I much prefer it. I can't see how this is going to turn into a. It's made 2 attempts to push higher. I can't see how this would turn into a downtrend at the moment without at least making an attempt. There is a higher low on the other chart. I don't think it's a terrible trade, but I'm going to sit tight here because I'd have preferred to break below there. But I think it may work. I'm glad I sat tight, but there is a higher low there. But I'd prefer to get just that little bit lower there. But that looks like it's probably going to work. But I tend to listen to my gut feeling. And my gut feeling was right because that bar's just been stopped out now. So I was right to wait. So a little channel with a break. For me, if it breaks below there, that's much better. There we go. Now let's see a move. Okay, excuse me a sec. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. Okay. Let's clean this up a bit. So two legs down. That second leg's come down a bit further. That concerns me, that does. But it is such a big move up. So we've had a break and attempt of a new high. Okay, that's cleared out maybe stuff around there. So channel break, new low. Let's have a look, see what charts people have got. See, there's the possibility of we've already had a break here somewhere. It's not obvious. Depends where you draw it from. If you go from here, because I don't know, sometimes people have some odd looking ways of trading, putting charts. I don't think it looks too bad, but we've made an attempt at a new high. So, I mean, it's always possible this thing could reverse. I wouldn't write that off yet. I mean, we had that news, strong rally, and we still had a few legs down before we eventually found support and pushed up. So, you know, I wouldn't write that off. It may push up at some time, but for me, it's always nice to find something and get a strong move from there. But even so, with such a big move up, a couple of legs down and up, it's still not as much as, you know, you might expect. Sometimes we get a lot of messing around before it pushes up. Exactly what we did there. We had that big move up, and then we had the news, and then we still had a lot of this before eventually. Two huge measured moves. Yeah, it's a perfect measured move plus a few extra ticks. So, you know, it could come down a little bit or mess around here for a while and then eventually move up and break the highs, or, you know, it could drop down. It doesn't look like it's in a hurry to get down. So, I was very late to that raid. Yeah, I had one earlier up there. Once you get that up and you get a couple of legs when you push up, you know, there's always a good chance we get close to it or a measured move. We had I don't know, point or two extra, I think. Just looking through some other charts, seeing what people were looking at. Seen a Dan's chart for a while, unless he's taken a break or finished early. So look at the 10,000 tick chart, see if sometimes that clears things up a little. So look at this. Yeah, it depends how you draw this, but we have had a break and an attempt at a new high. This could be reversing, or it could come down to this area here. That one came down. Plays apart quite well, that does. So we could have a couple of legs down and then it could push high, but this thing looks like it's got other plans in mind. So we've had a break and it's an attempt. It's got close. Sometimes it attempts but just can't get up there. But we have had a measured move, and in fact, it probably got up to where we had that measured move, in all fairness. Yeah, so that's where that measured move was, and we kind of hit it, came back, had an attempt, and now we're on the way down. Whether this will get much further or not, I don't know, but I suppose really after this and an attempt, we've got to treat this as a downtrend at the moment, I think. Trouble is, it could be a reversal. But it doesn't look, you know, sometimes when you reverse it, it moves a bit quicker than that, doesn't it? But it, that's working okay, like a two-tiered channel at the top there. It's working along the midline nice. So even a couple, you know, a second entry short here, I don't see it be a problem. So it's just retesting this area here. You can clearly see there's some support there. You can see we drop to it and then drop below it. So I'm looking for a second entry short, possibly. I mean, with such a big move, I was thinking that and that, but it makes sense that we have something a bit wider. So maybe we're having something like that. So a second entry short here, I wouldn't have an issue with. Wouldn't take that. Waiting for a lower high maybe, or a second leg up. It's only really a first entry. You could argue, no, not well. I mean, you could argue it's a hidden second entry short. As we broke through it and tested it, I'd like to test it a second time. Market likes to do things twice, or at least have a go of it. So we've got a higher low here. Even if we can trigger a higher low and then come down for a lower high, that's 21 ticks. Tick below, tick above. Too much. Now I'm going to get a order ready just
Order
in case.
submitted. Order cancelled.
It's hard to know there. There may be something wider. So if you'd have taken that, you may be getting stitched here. You wouldn't have got much out of it, unfortunately. Tick below there. No, you would have even got a point. It would have to have pushed through. I mean, it may hold, but I have a gut instinct that says it probably won't. Not sure about that. Trouble is, we've got a leg up. We could have 2 attempts to push higher and another retest of it, giving us a triple test. So I'm staying out of this as well. And reason being, it's a bit congested. And you may think it's a lower high. Not only is it a lower high, but it's kind of a second entry short. But just after this and this leg down, I'm just not sure. We could have a leg, 2 legs back and then up. So I'm just staying out of this. I don't have to think now. Something just tells me I either like it or I don't. And there's something about this that just says be careful. I'd have preferred a leg and a leg, really, and then rejection. This is just congested. Well, it did work. It's just risky in my opinion because it's clearly congested there. So you got longs trapped and shorts trapped. So you just don't know whether it's going to drop out the bottom, stop that out, and then turn and have a second leg up. I just didn't like that congestion. A lot of the times you'll see it will push up, go sideways, push up. Got you 2 points. Good on you, mate. I'm not saying it was a bad trade. It just wasn't right for me. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars stacked up there. We've kind of had 2 legs down after this break and attempt. So this stuff can go wrong there. Would I take it on evaluation? Absolutely. Would I take it on 19p accounts? No. I would mark it as a green trade, slightly more aggressive, purely just because of that. But that's okay. Yeah, someone said 6 bar stack, 1's a doji. There's no doji on my chart, but not far off. It's definitely gone slow now, hasn't it? Oh, it's very tempting on that other chart. There's going to be some longs trapped there. Very tempting. Do I or don't I? No. We could get 1 leg and a second leg up here. It's always possible. Okay, I'm
Order
going to take this,
submitted.
but not for a huge amount.
Order filled.
Okay, what did I get on it? $62. It was the second entry short that I liked, but I took it on a limit order. And when it bounced off that, I was hoping it was going to break past there, and I think it bounced off the order. So my concern is it's coming up. So I got out here. I'm glad I did, actually. That was the entry, second entry short. I'm out. Just checking, yeah. Came down 2.25. Might go back up, but there was a second entry short. But I like the fact that there was a bar there and a higher low there. The fact that it was trapped, so I got on a limit order. It went back up and then dropped down. So I got, what did I get? A point and a bit out of it or something or other. Let's have a look. I did like it. Channel down. Did come down. I was just expecting it to break the lows. It bounced off the lows. But it's a little bit, isn't it? Let's have a look. Yeah, it was okay. It's $1,000. It's $1,100. Where did I get it exactly? So I got in here, which is a tick lower than I probably should have done, and got out there. I thought I'd gotten a little bit higher than that. What did I get out of it point wise? 11.25. So it was a point and a quarter. So it's, yeah, it was a little bit premature, I think. I thought we may have another quick push down, but there we go. It was the bigger bar anyway that interested me, which was the same equivalent of that one there. It's a point and a quarter, better than a kick in the teeth. So it's the equivalent of that one really, but on the 1,000 tick chart, leg and a leg. So I'll mark it on here so at least you can see where I kind of took it. But it was on here really. So it's the same thing. Or is it? I don't know. No, I don't think it is. It's just going to confuse it. Let's just get rid of that anyway. But it was a channel with a second entry short. And eventually it pushed down for 2.25, so 2 points. So point and a quarter. Loss going for 1R on the 1K. Let me just, so it was a second entry short. It was 1.25 points. It did go a little bit, well, it went to 2.25, but plus 1.25 points. See, that's a slow crap day in a tiny trade, but it's still equals $1,100 on my account, so it's still worth it sometimes. You know, sometimes I like the setup, so I suppose it was worth it for a small move. For me, I was targeting this area here. I like the fact that we'd had a higher low. It came down, it didn't break below, and it came back, and I got on about here. And it did what I expected it to. Well, I expected it to break the lows. I thought there's a bullish bar there and a higher low there. If it traps them both and it bounced there, as soon as it bounced, I just got out of it. It's just not worth it. May have been a bit of a premature trade. It worked for a scalp, but well, 2 points, 2.25. So you'd have got 2 points out of it. I got in a tick less. I wouldn't have done. But I'll take that. Sometimes it's you know, sometimes it happens. What was the risk? Risk was 4 points. See, It's not as big as it's been, but for such a small reward, really, it didn't have much room to the lows. So that was a trade that looked okay, but the context didn't give us a lot of places to go. So it looks to me like it's found some support. So leg with a break, new low. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing rattles around a little bit before it eventually moves higher. I think it will. We've had that push down and a couple of attempts and a strong move up. So I'm guessing this thing's probably going to go higher, certainly to the tops, maybe even higher still. So at least I'm green for the day anyway. Not the best trade in the world, but it did what I expected anyway. 2 legs up, trapping a higher low. It came down. It stopped that out, but we had a bounce there. My target, I think, was at those lows, which it didn't push through, which is why I decided to get out when I had a bounce, and I got a little bit out of it. But a win's a win. Sometimes it's small. So for me, it's working between this level and this level. You have a link to how to clear cache. My chart's not reloading correctly. Okay. I don't so much have a link, but there is, let me just see if I can open this piece of software here. It's called Apex Desktop Assistant. Let me just see if it pops up anywhere. Here it is. It won't let me do it, but I downloaded this from Apex, and if I click, say uninstall and clear cache, it won't let me do it. If I click NinjaTrader 8, I've got to shut it down first. But what it'll do is, if you look there, uninstall and clear cache, it's a click of a button, then I click clear, then shut it down. I do that at the end of every day, and that way it just clears everything. It stops the lag. So Apex Investing. So if you go onto the Apex Investing website and download it, and I use this at the end of every day. I used to forget sometimes, and I wonder why things are slow and clogged. And if you use this, so just go onto the Apex Investing desktop and download it. So it's called just Desktop Assistant, I think. Apex Desktop Assistant, I think. It is, yeah. Yeah, Apex Desktop Assistant. You're welcome. Just leave that like that so you can see it. So, yeah. And I do that. It's part of the reason I do. What I do is I shut my... first thing I do at the end of every day is shut this down. I never leave it open. Then I switch all my PA accounts here onto sim and on my other chart onto sim, just in case something freaky ever happened. I do that, and then I use a desktop assistant to clear all the cache. So Replicanto shut down, make sure that's onto a sim on both charts, and I do that at the end of every day, and that way nothing strange or weird can open. Yeah, I don't know whether it does that, Sam. Actually, if you go into, let me think. If you go into, there is a way of doing it that I used to do it first. If I go into documents, and then go into NinjaTrader 8, and then DB files, and then cache. No, there was something else I used to do, which deleted minutes, seconds, and all those. There's something else I used to do. I can't think what it was now, so I don't know whether it does that, whether the Apex thing does it or not. It's hard to say, really. So support is, so we've pushed bounce once. We're going to bounce a second time. I've had 2 pushes down, so I think there's a good chance we test these, but Break new extreme. Yeah, same here. Because of the context, though, I'd like to see 2 legs back here, and then I consider going along there. The fact is we've bounced here. The next point of call really is these highs, isn't it? Now we've pushed up to the midline. I'd like to see 2 bounces here, and then I consider going along then, because I think after we've bounced here twice, we've pushed up, it's likely going to retest this area here. So that's what I'd like to see. 1 leg down. So we have made a new extreme, but that's okay. Context is telling me it's probably going to go up to this area. I need a small bit. 3 points at the moment is, it's not huge. You know, if we can get down here somewhere and I can take that, I can get in my points before we've even reached these highs, let alone these. So, but we got to get down here somewhere below this for me, really. We got support and resistance here, so we've had 1 bounce off support. I'd like a second one. Same again. 2 legs down, then maybe we'll get something. I can't take anything like that. Doesn't look bad off the 1,000-tick chart. 2 legs back, and it is right off the EMA here, but I think I'm going to sit tight here because it's a little bit congested. And just looking on here, it could come down here a bit more. So the only thing going for that, I think, really is the fact that it's off that EMA. We could have a second leg come down to this level. So there is, see it there, there's support there. You can see it right the way along there. So for me, that's risky there, taking that. It's right in the middle of that lump of stuff there. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'd expect this to come down. See that bullish bar there on the 2,000 tick chart? It's triggered leg and leg. I wouldn't, if I took that trade, I'd expect to get stopped out, come down here. So if it's going to do it there, it's going to do it there. Now it may not. You never know. Sometimes the crappiest trade in the world works. I'm not saying it is, but you wouldn't want to take that trade because it's right in the middle of this and it's a million miles away from that EMA. There's not enough room to the highs. So for me, it's an easy liquidity that is to pull back to there, pull back to support, clear everything out before it makes its push again, if it does, of course. Now, anything can happen. You know, as I say, sometimes the worst trade in the world works and the best setup in the world sometimes doesn't. It just kind of as it is. So it has worked on there. It didn't look terrible on there, to be honest with you, but I just didn't want to get involved. It's only gone up 2 points, so I'd have to get here. So I'm just not sure at the moment. It's a bit congested. I'm up a little bit, and it's a Friday, so I'm taking all those into consideration. But if you're taking it as a failure, yeah, you've got some shorts there, which may you know, be trapped, but I don't know. I'm happy to leave it. It's just now I don't even have to think about it. I like the picture. I don't mess around counting or anything. I'm just looking for 2 legs, and that leg back was the slight pull back was just a little bit too floated in the middle for me. Would I have had to go on an evaluation? Yeah, because I'd have put me stop back here. But it looked a bit better on here because it was back to the EMA. So 2 legs back, and obviously it works. So perhaps it wasn't a terrible trade there. Gonna head off for an hour or so, come back at the back end of the session. Yeah, you too, Ben. Have I said, well, I've already said that a while ago. You might have. So, how long have we been trading? I'm closing half my long from earlier. So many real child traders will be joining longs here. Yeah. So, how long have we been going for? 3 hours, 20 minutes. So, I'm going to knock on the head, I think. Trouble is, can't take a long here now. We're coming up to the highs, leg up, leg up. We're going to have to come up here first and then work our way back. So I'm done for the week. So it's not been a bad week for me. So I was up 30 yesterday, let's say 100 including today, plus another 300, that's 400. Let me have a look. So I was up 25 yesterday, 150 the day before, 225. And I think 75, so 450, 550. I'm on up about 550. Oh, no, a little bit more. What am I up today? Oh, including today and yesterday, and that's 100, 250, 350, 450. About 550 for the week per account. But that's all right, that is. 550, you divide that times 4 over a calendar month, that's well over 2,000. I'd be happy with half of that, so it's been a successful week. Week before was iffy. I lost 500 on the Monday, more or less ended up break even. But that's okay. It happens. I learned something by having those 2 trades in a row. That if you do take a loss, sit back and take a breather. It's not the end of the world. But there you go. So thanks, lads. Have a good weekend. Oh, yeah, brilliant. Right, I'll leave you guys to it. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe. If you're carrying on trading today, best of luck. But failing that, enjoy your weekend. And I'll catch up with you on Monday. Bye for now.